everyone, and welcome to the Human Rights Podcast Series. This is an initiative by the Level 300 class of the University of Ghana School of Law, 2026 to be precise, and this is an initiative that falls under the wider project dubbed Sexual Harassment and its Impediments to Academic Freedom. Over the next 3 episodes, we'll be exploring certain topics that still fall under sexual harassment but haven't been given the profound attention that it ought to be given. And even in instances where these topics have been given that attention, they aren't properly recognized and work is not really being done as it ought to be done. Through conversations with legal practitioners, students, counselors, psychotherapy, everybody, just think about plethora of disciplines. We're working with everybody. We're just trying to have the needed conversation. And today's episode, which is the first in the series, it is dubbed "No Be Every Help, Be Help: Exploitation versus Support of Persons Living with Disability, particularly students." Because, as I said earlier, the major topic we're dealing with is sexual harassment and its impediment to academic freedom. And today I have here with me in studio, I have amazing and splendid people to help me have this proper conversation. And so I'll let them introduce themselves. And I have from my far right, I'll let the gentleman in blue start with the introduction, then we move chronologically. So yeah, we'll move from you.
Hi, my name is Gideon Ejapon, a law student and a mental health officer with University of Ghana Hospital.
Thank you very much, Gideon. We move to our pretty lady.
Thank you very much, Karen. Dear listeners, I am Na Ajeli Kone, President of the Law Students Union of the University of Ghana, and I am the head of Disability Advocacy Committee as it stands, and I'm a person who is very passionate about the topic of sexual harassment. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin Melish Ejapon. I am a lawyer, I am a disability rights advocate, and a show host as well on disability rights, yes.
Thank you so much for being here today, gentlemen and my pretty lady. So ideally, you'd be wondering that, why are we talking about this particular thing? Sexual harassment is not a new topic. It's not something that we haven't heard about. And when we're trying to center on the rights, the academic freedom of students, ideally, people tend to think about it in very different aspects. For this particular episode, we're looking at students with disability. These persons also tend to find themselves to be victims of sexual harassment. And ideally, that's the whole point. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to delve into the matter. We're going to know what is highly not spoken about, or even when it is spoken about, people do not really know about it. So just to kick start, I already said that our theme for today is "No Be Every Help, Be Help: Exploitation versus Support of Students with Disability." So I'm going to ask my guests here. You heard the theme.
Sure.
"No Be Every Help, Be Help."
Sure.
What thought does it provoke, ideally?
Well, it's in fact thought-provoking, as you have intimated. But I'd like to mention that under the guise of helping, a lot of people have been made subjects of some sort of sexual harassment and all forms of, abuses. So first of all, I'd like to mention that here at the University of Ghana, we are very privileged to have an institution that does not take sexual harassment lightly at all. You know, so if there's going to be any form of sexual harassment, the person must certainly come under the guise of trying to help somebody, but cannot explicitly, sexually harass a student.
Sure.
Not to talk of somebody who, has some sort of disability. All right. Now, and then we must also admit that there are a lot of people in this country, and then particularly on campus here, who certainly, take advantage of people with disability, in the name of trying to help them. So indeed, we must be able to find a thin line between where somebody is helping and where the person is taking advantage of, another person. And this has become very touchy because, people who are receiving help, face some sort of anxiety, losing the kind of help they are receiving. So most of the times they are also not able to, complain that much,
Because they're trying to weigh the help they are getting and then how the experience they are having.
And it will surprise you that, if those specific questions are put to you, you will even struggle to make a choice whether to let go of the help or
voice out.
endure the, harassment and maintain the help. So it's thought-provoking and worth talking about. Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to now. Still with that, I want to know what your reaction was when you heard "no be every help be help," exploitation versus support. Ideally, what was your reaction, and with respect to like stuff you've heard as a person with a disability yourself, something you've witnessed, you've heard of? What do you think this topic properly highlights the real realities?
Yes, in fact, it does. And it's very key, as you've rightly mentioned, I'm a person with disability myself, particularly visual impairment. So it's very paramount for me to always have a guide or a help with me at all times. I have a driver, I have a personal assistant, among many other persons who help me on a day-to-day basis. So definitely you have to, as Mr. Ejapon mentioned, you have to weigh the help you're getting and as against when you are faced with a situation of sexual harassment, for instance. So when I heard the topic, I was actually very, very, very impressed and very intrigued because this is something that's actually a reality for many of us on the daily. So some of you would have seen that I come with my own personal driver nowadays as compared to even using the drivers that are available on campus, because I've had a personal experience one time where a driver decided to be helping, so I didn't have to use my personal driver, but in the end took me to my room one day and then tried to make certain advances, and then now you have to now think of what the next step is and all of that. So definitely this topic is very well worth exploring, and I think it's a very good one.
Thank you for that. We will tie back to that experience later on, but I'll move to Melish for Melish to tell me his reaction on the "no be every help be help."
Great. A well thought of topic. So, thinking of the topic, I actually thought of mentioning that, first of all, persons with disabilities are persons, okay? We are persons, just like any other one. And so we go through the usual challenges, exploitation, and everything, just as any other person. So sometimes someone might even wonder, do people sexually harass persons with disabilities? Yes, of course. They are also persons, and they are harassed on daily. I'm happy now I just shared an example. Yes, and these things happen. I have been a student leader here on campus, and we hear a lot of the issues from colleagues, students, from some staff members, a whole lot. And I think that the University of Ghana School of Law has done a good job by organizing this podcast, and we have to really delve into the matters and point out the wrongs and then hope to find solutions as well before we end.
Thank you very much. So kudos to the International Human Rights Class 2026, working under the supervision of Professor Kwejoa, PhD, Etia. So let's kickstart the real conversation, right? So I'm going to throw this to everybody, but then I will give the relevance to everybody's area particularly. But then when does help stop being help? Because ideally, persons with disability need help, or it would make their life much easier if they had some help. So when does help stop being help?
Well, like you mentioned, if it's indeed help, then the person at the receiving end is supposed to be the sole beneficiary of whatever engagement it is. It stops being help where the other person on the other end becomes the beneficiary, and whatever the person is doing, labeled help, does not benefit, or to some extent is to the detriment of the person they are claiming they are helping, and it's rather inures to their benefit. Then it stops, being
so quote unquote, the helper tends to help themselves in that situation.
Exactly, rightly put.
Rightfully said, don't you think?
Yes.
But then, taking it from the mental health, as a mental health expert yourself, when does dependency, because I want our viewers to understand that asking for help doesn't mean you are entirely dependent on the person. It's just to make some things easier, right? Now we're looking at students. When does dependency sometimes, it increases your vulnerability, because ideally you would want the help, or you would need it for the lack of a better expression. You would need that help to make stuff go easier. We're looking at students. Students have to move. Some of them have lecturers from JQB to NNB, all of that movement. And some might not have the resources. Just like Najiri said, she has a personal driver. Some people might not be privileged to have certain resources at their disposal. So at this point, do you think that dependency increases their vulnerability? As a mental health expert, I want your take on that.
Certainly. I'm going to talk about this as a mental health expert, and also certainly I will not be able to do that exclusively without talking about the fact that there's legal underpinning to some of these discussions. Now, this very question is the reason why the essence of the law, the equitable principle of undue influence actually is, because most of the times people end up taking advantage of other people when they need help. And when we talk about help, it is not something that, solely should be looked at in respect of, persons with disability. Everybody needs help. And it is at that moment that another person gets the opportunity to take advantage of you. Okay. All right. So, like I mentioned, the law governing undue influence will say that, well, if a parent is able to convince a child to sort of guarantee a contract, at a point in time, the child can set undue influence, as a defense to say that this wasn't something I actually wanted to do because of the relatively stronger position of the parent. The parent, certainly is at a position of help because he or she is paying your school fees, feeding you and all that. At that point, whoever is on the other end, being a child, whoever it is, becomes a vulnerable person. So at any point in time, if we all need help and we are not careful who we are seeking help from and whatnot, we end up becoming vulnerable people. Now,
on the tangent of, I'm not trying to cut you, but on the tangent of vulnerability, do you think the vulnerability arises as a result of the disability itself, or because of the environment we find ourselves in? Because there are some instances where I have seen persons with disability move about, and I didn't even know they have this, right? But then ideally, do you think to some extent the environment you find ourselves in is a factor for that vulnerability, that vulnerable state these persons find themselves in? With the example I give about students, because we're trying to center it on academic freedom, looking at students trying to traverse their way on campus, move around, but then there's no way they can, there's no way, they're either white kings, but then from NMB to JQB, that distance, I don't think there are sidewalks specifically set aside for visually impaired students. There's a whole lot of shortcomings. So do you think the vulnerability is as a result of the disability or the environment they find themselves in?
Objectively, I would say both. Because sometimes, no matter how independent you are as, somebody with disability, societal perception would want people to offer help when you have not even solicited for one. So people, would want to help just by seeing that you are a person with disability. When you have not asked them to come around, they would want to come around, and all that.
Maybe their empathy at work.
Yeah, exactly. This is expected. It's expected. It's not out of the center at all for somebody to think that you need help as somebody living with, disability. So again, help, it's something that everybody needs. However, we must admit that persons, with disability need help more than persons without disability. Okay. Now, there are a lot of categories. When you talk about persons with disability, people, some of them are not able to see, either completely or their sight is such that they will require some sort of assistance. Some of them have intellectual, disability problems, so their approach to study methods and all that, they will need help. It is at that point that the likelihood of an abuse may arise because they are seeking help. So the abuse will be incident on the fact that the person needs help. Okay, so wherever there is an opportunity for somebody to seek help and be helped, there's also a possibility of an abuse, irrespective of whether the person is a person living with disability or not. However, in respect of persons living with disability, it's on the high side comparatively.
Thank you very much. So now I'll move to you on this. The conversations we've had just over here, we've centered it. It's a bit general, right? Now let's bring it to the students, the University of Ghana students. Thankfully, the University of Ghana has a sexual and anti-sexual harassment policy, right? How do you think that act is inclusive of all students? Just rightfully said by Melish, persons with disability are persons. That's the first word. They're like everybody else, just that they have a disability to some extent, right? You've seen the act. How inclusive do you think it is?
Very interesting question. So the policy generally speaks on sexual harassment. When it comes to persons with disability or students with disability even more narrowed down, it's very, let me say, limited. Yes, it only has maybe some 2 touches from my reading that I've seen, even though it's quite great. They have made an effort to ensure that they understand that some of the students with disability will not be able to make complaints without some assistance. For example, if you need to write down something, you need somebody to maybe assist you with that. So they stated in the policy that all those will be taken into account when you are bringing your complaints. So I'm sure we all get the emails as students from time to time from the Anti-Sexual Harassment Committee. Yes, so you can send them emails by the school's various platforms, so maybe public affairs or some other means, maybe University of Ghana Careers and Counseling Department is available, the Anti-Sexual Human Rights Sexual Harassment Committee is also available, among others. You can also have a third party you are close to or trust also go in there and report for you. So that's one thing I've seen that they've taken into account in the policy. The other thing has to do with the general approach to catering for students with disability. For that, I have not seen anything specific to students with disability, which I think can actually be worked upon, because it will be very difficult for a student with disability to report an instance, especially in this helping me situation, right? Because you are thinking of, oh, this is my fellow student who is helping me out. Now I'm going to report the person, and especially where this person is maybe not someone who the school has prescribed to you or something. You're thinking of the person's future in the school and all of that. So you being dependent on those people and then you needing help from these people who are also under the same university umbrella as you makes it a bit more difficult for students with disability, because once they go away, then what else are you left with? So that's one challenge I think must be addressed in the policy for them to make people understand and feel and know that, especially when it comes to maybe students with disability and then sexual harassment, though everyone is treated seriously, there's going to be maybe even graver consequences when it comes to that. Yes, and all complaints will be taken seriously.
Do you think, because yes, there's an act, because right now someone says the university hasn't provided, they have provided, and just rightfully said by you, do you think that ideally there should be maybe a separate system for students with a disability to be able to bring out these situations that they find themselves in? Because anonymously we get to hear over time about how another student helps the other, and you owe me, I've been helping you the whole week, I didn't even go for this, I didn't even do that. That kind, and just as you said, that dependency on the caregiver, in this instance where your caregiver is your abuser, how then do you communicate? Do you actually think that the university should set maybe a separate system to allow persons with disability to be able to bring their grievances out?
Okay, so for that, I think the mechanisms we have in place are already excellent, but I think more awareness needs to be done. So in terms of the emails, those are very beautiful, those are perfect. But when it comes to, for example, the Center for Disability Studies, which we have, see, because they handle the affairs of students with disability, maybe there should be some specific staff who are also further trained on this sexual harassment issues. So you know that, okay, if nothing at all, you can call maybe Anti-ABC to help you out. Or maybe if you are struggling, there's a specific number you can call, and then they would listen to you, or they can come see you at your hall and then have that one-on-one interaction with you, as against maybe you now coming to the Careers and Counseling or maybe to the Anti-Sexual Harassment Committee. So I think if that can be done, that would also be excellent.
Thank you very much. So now let's move to this segment where we're looking at the hidden forms of sexual harassment. Because ideally, just rightly said by the University of Ghana Anti-Sexual Harassment Act has stated what the university considers as sexual harassment. Generally, you take your phone, you Google, you get a definition for sexual harassment, right? But then over time, some normalcy has been attached to certain acts. And when you want to complain, it's like you are doing too much. Oh, but this one, everybody does it. I don't know if you understand, you're getting where I'm trying to hit. So to some extent, there are hidden acts of sexual harassment. So I'm moving to you, Benjamin, and I want to ask you, people often imagine sexual harassment only to be physical, ideally. People even tend to confuse sexual harassment with rape.
Okay.
Yeah, but then even with our act, it makes us know that even when you catcall someone, you make certain remarks about someone, under the University of Ghana Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, it falls under sexual harassment because It's all part of it. You're harassing someone, and it has a sexual motive, right? So my question to you is that, as a lawyer with disability, you were a student before, you went through the system. What are some subtle things, some subtle acts that you would consider, or ideally, you think everybody else should consider as a form of sexual harassment, but then ideally it is not seen as that because some normalcy has been attached to certain activities?
Interesting question. Okay, so this question is deep. So basically, you offer a helping hand to me. If you want to help me willingly and freely, you shouldn't even expect anything in return. So once the whole conversation starts, okay, so the guys normally do this. Okay, your dress fits you well. Oh, I like the shape of this thing, and then the conversation starts to move from just helping to, yes, making some sort of advances. We may not consider, like you rightly said, these as sexual harassment, but they are, of course. Why would you want to maybe comment on a lady's dress which exposes a little part of maybe her breast, and then say you like the shape of the, something like that, thinking that because you are helping, she's in no position to really complain, or she shouldn't have any issue with such comments. Also, so when Ivy meets now, and then unless it's unintentional, which I have to apologize, any touch, when we were learning assault and battery that time, level 200, I remember when even the person bumps into another person, then the person says, I'll charge you with battery. So we used to make fun of these things. But if you touch a lady, basically, inappropriately, anyhow, once she is not happy with it, and you cannot necessarily justify, if you hold my hand, reasonably, I can't say you are sexually harassing me, because you are helping me and you have to hold my hand to cross that gutter in front of me. But when you are helping Najeli and you put your hand around her waist, if she doesn't have a problem, maybe that's why, if genuinely she doesn't have a problem. But that can move to your hand moving down from the waist, we know where you go to. Then, yes, it starts and then continues. I was talking about incidents when I was a student leader. So recently we're having a conversation, and there is a group of special students who study a particular course. I'm not going to mention anything, but they have a study group, and there is this guy who leads the group. Obviously he appears to be much more intelligent than the others, or they believe he is. I am not too sure, but he helps them study together. They meet in one person's room, and then they discuss. Then now issues start to come up, that he starts touching the ladies inappropriately, starting to say that, hey, you could have been teaching, you see you had an A in this paper, you owe me. Then those things move. So now we are all, and he's also in the same level as us. So he's not a T or anything. It's not as though he has any serious or grip on the course than the other people. Just that, of course, we are all not the same, and so he might have a sharper brain or something when it comes to comprehension. And so he starts this, I'll come to your room. Today I want to come and eat dinner. Today this. And then he goes there, and according to the ladies themselves, after he comes, there was a lady who said that this guy came to her room and she was just from the bathroom. A guy just came in and then sat on the bed. Go out, I want to, I can't see. You can't see, so what? She's still going to dress, and so she's going to reveal her nakedness. Whether or not you can see, how will we know that you are pretending? So, and you sit in there, inconveniencing the lady to the extent that she has to go to another friend's room to dress up. So this is even peer-to-peer. Yes, these things happen, like Najeli gave her the example. I've heard a very, excuse my language, silly driver ask a lady, hey, into machine we want to use, hey, and I remember that, those things. Thinking that as though persons with disabilities are some, I don't know. Yeah.
And you can have access to
yes. They even think that maybe you are not naturally attracted to people. So he's even doing you a favor by even considering having an affair with you.
That's what they do.
Can you imagine?
I like how you're going, but on that tangent, as I was saying, I want to know, we're looking at it emotionally, right? We're looking at the point of view where we're still talking about academics. We're looking at you made mention of the peer-to-peer and all of that. Let's look at this instance where it is the supposed abuser, quote unquote, is the person with disability, the student with disability.
Okay. That also happens actually. And before, let me say that, yes, you asked other forms that we don't consider as sexual harassment. So for instance, if a lady begins to send some suggestive messages to a guy, I mean, you read it and you know that this is what she wants to say, but she's not being direct. Yes, all these things are forms of sexual harassment. And like you mentioned, sometimes persons with disability in their quests to maybe find a future partner or something also get carried away when people offer genuine help to them. And so I meet you, Karen, and then you help me. Maybe you're so nice, now you bring me breakfast and all that. I begin to think, is this lady, I mean, having some feelings for me? Because I cannot see you to really read your reaction. I look at what you do, the kind of help you offer. And then sometimes we misread, and then maybe also make some suggestive or even sort of direct advancements, which discourages people who want to help persons with disabilities. And so yes, it happens that way too. So maybe you are so nice to the extent I feel like, no, it cannot just be that this lady wants to help me. Maybe she's interested in me. Let me try and then touch her and then see if she will respond. Maybe even the first time I touch you, because you are not expecting me to do that, you are not really able to react, not because you like what I did. Good. So you not because you like what I did, but because you are surprised, you're not expecting that. So I may take that as, okay, silence gives consent, so then let me
Which shouldn't be so.
move forward. Yes,
Listeners, viewers, that is not too.
Yes.
Yeah, so now you see what you just spoke about. We're looking at instances where now I genuinely like somebody who is a person with disability.
Okay.
But then it tends to be, oh, maybe you just want to have pity on the person. Sometimes it's genuine, like you like how smart the person is. You like how they speak. Maybe that is what attracts you to them. It's genuine. But because of what some people consider the person's situation, quote unquote, it makes it look as if you're taking advantage of them. Usually, you know how there's this thought society has about, especially women being victims in a lot of cases. Yes. They'll be like, oh, she's a girl with a disability, and this boy is, oh, the boy wants something. He doesn't genuinely like, oh, he just wants to do this with her. Look, we're looking at those instances because I'm sure, I don't think it will be non-existent that someone genuinely likes another person, but the person, as we said, it's a person rightfully so called, but then has a disability. So we're looking at those instances also.
So let me cite this example that maybe my colleagues can add up. So I was at a program with a visually impaired colleague who was pregnant at the time. And when we got there, the women there were like, oh, so who did this to this lady? And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
The lady is pregnant. What have they done to her?
Yeah.
It was as though the guy who impregnated her was weak. I just couldn't understand. I was just there wondering, is something wrong with her apart from the fact that she's pregnant that I don't know? So yes, like you are saying, sometimes people genuinely are interested, but they will say, okay, maybe this lady is coming after Benjamin because Benjamin is now a lawyer, and maybe people think that doesn't mean I'm having money. I don't have any money. People think that Benjamin is now getting some money, and then this lady wants to maybe milk him. But maybe genuinely, this lady is interested. Maybe Benjamin speaks well. Maybe Benjamin dresses well. Maybe yes. And I mean, you discourage some of our suitors or people who may have been, of course, yes, interested, because they may think that, okay, if I get close to Najee, most people even say that because Na has a driver and Na has a car and Na's father has a big house here. It is because of that I want to benefit from. But maybe genuinely, this guy likes Na and wants to be with Na. Yes, and so that is why we are doing this, and that is why this is very important that we discuss. And so, yes, I think that my colleagues can...
Before you move to our next, would you want to, Mr. Ejapon, on this particular, still on this topic, about the opposite of it? Someone genuinely likes somebody, but they're a person with disability. The society says, oh, you're taking advantage. Like the scenario you give, who did this to you? That's a very weird thing to tell somebody who is pregnant. It's given, maybe they've written rape on her forehead, but then that is not it, just because she's a person with disability. It doesn't mean blind people, deaf people can't fall in love or can't find a partner. Yeah, so that situation, as a mental health expert.
Well, I think that, to be fair, it appears to be a societal protective mechanism where we see people with disability as extremely vulnerable. So if somebody deals with them, society wants to be very sure whether it was done in good faith. So, I mean, seeing somebody who is blind or who can't see pregnant and not married, you may think, I mean, was she really aware of what happened and all those kind of things? But I think it's an unfair comment, I mean, in all. But balancing it, I think that, you know, society wants to protect, but I mean, probably it was manifested the wrong way. I mean, so people with disability also can fall in love. They are humans, like you mentioned. I mean, so now we need to educate the society more to understand that they are no different from us as humans.
Exactly.
Whatever neurochemicals they have in their brains, I mean, we have the same. If we are able to love, they are able to love. There's no distinction, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I think we should educate the public that we understand that people are trying to protect and see to it that people with disability, you know, people with, I mean, various forms of disability are not abused. But in doing that, the expression needs to be refined. It shouldn't be, you know, too crude. You know, it must come with some sort of respect. Okay?
Yeah.
And then to the other people as well, you must also understand that when you're dealing with somebody who is suffering from any form of somebody with disability, what you must do is to also come clean and clear on what exactly you want with them. Seeing that society has that perception, you cannot live in disregard of societal perception of, I mean, what you are doing.
Yeah.
So seeing that if you're interested in the person, you need to come clean and come clear to make the work easier. You know, if you want to avoid these kind of comments.
Exactly.
Sure.
And just to add to that, what he's saying, you must definitely have an open and honest conversation, whether you're the one helping or you're the one being helped. And one thing about all this, tying it back to the theme of academic freedom, when it comes to the reverse situation, what we need to understand, okay, as persons with disability and students with disability, sometimes people just want to offer genuine help. So as Benjamin mentioned, they'll be doing certain things to try and make you comfortable because of the societal part of we don't really understand what it means to be a person with disability. So we may read wrongly what the person's true intentions are. So if at any point as students with disability, we realize that this is what is happening, we must actually take the initiative and also ask that, okay, so what really are your intentions towards me? What are you trying to do? Are you helping me just because you want me to pass this course, or you want to actually have a relationship going forward?
As it ought to be, like you would have with just who you consider a regular
important,
person. So we're still the major thing, academic freedom, academic freedom. Yes. This is the scenario. A student needs lecture notes. We have lecturers who would teach the class with lecture slides and keep on referring that, look at this, okay, so this and this, or look at this. And then we have a visually impaired student who can't see what you're trying to and can't grasp everything in entirety because there's a part of it that they ought to act in a particular way, they are unable to do that, right? Then they have a colleague in class. Every time, everybody knows Nai and Karen are friends. Karen is a girl, let me use Nai and John are friends. And oh, now I wrote what Prof said down, or I got it down for you. Ideally, this is their routine. They are good friends. They help each other. I want us to find out where the help actually tends to be actual exploitation instead of support. Because now, you know I'm busy. You know I had class. We ended at 5:30, and you know I do my personal study. So meet me at 10. Meet me at 10 the first day because you understand that genuinely, this is the only time that John has available to help me. Meet me at 10, meet me at 10, meet me at 10. Then it gets to a point where it's like, oh, it's late. You can just sleep over. Oh, it's this. And then at a point, first of all, do you think we're able to properly, clearly see when it begins to be exploitation or harassment?
Sometimes the lines actually get blurred. Yes, because really you're trying to ascertain what exactly the whole relationship is about.
Exactly.
Initially, we are basically saying what we are at cross purposes. So in my mind, I know that, okay, you are genuinely sending me materials, you are transcribing, you are describing what's going on in class and all of that. Yeah. and you two are doing it from the goodness of your heart. And then with time, you realize that, okay, maybe you actually have certain maybe sexual attractions or feelings for the person. So the problem comes in where instead of communicating directly with the person, you decide to find another way to go about it. Because you are thinking, oh, maybe this is a person with disability. How would they see it? They'll say, oh, I'm taking advantage of the person. That's why I'm trying to use this route. So you rather act in some sort of shady manner to get what you actually want from the person. So that's where we have to encourage them to know that, okay, enjoying the line, persons with disability, tell them, okay, have a conversation. Okay, oh, I've seen that since we came in level 100, you've been very helpful, and I'm really grateful for your support. At any point in time, should you have feelings towards me, can you let me know so we know how best to proceed? If you're going to still be helping me, you're going to be limited to maybe a romantic relationship. And persons who also want to help and genuinely have been helping, you get to the point where now, okay, feelings come in. So in order to not blur the lines, let the person know, okay, I do actually have feelings for you. And for this reason, I think when we are studying or when I'm assisting you, I would like for us to also involve ourselves in a romantic relationship. So can we proceed? If they say no, you understand that. If they say they want to continue, make sure that you do it openly for them to understand what you're actually doing. The motive is clear. Don't hide behind the help you are giving, whether academic or not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Japon, I saw you nod a couple of times. Oh, I have two Mr. Japons, actually. So Melish and then Gideon. Yeah, so who would like to go first? Melish, would you like to take it?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask now, even though I agree with her. So if, let's say, Mr. Gideon is helping now, and then now openly commences such a conversation, wouldn't Gideon take it as though now is trying to overtly propose to him or something like that? Wouldn't that also come in that, okay, maybe now is finding a nice way of just telling me that
That
she's
feeds
interested in me?
directly into my question, even because to some extent, you're trying to somewhat drive your helper away because I'm trying to help her then, or this girl wants to catch feelings.
So I think that that conversation will become proper when you have sort of sense that the person is making such an advance towards you. Then you have to be assertive enough. Do you understand? So it's either you tell the person that you are uncomfortable with whatever advances the person is making, or if this is the case, the person should let you know if they are interested. Okay, and so that you know what exactly you are doing. So you may not be the one asking the leading questions or putting a proposal before the person that lets me know if you are interested. That will, depending on the time, will not sound quite right to the person, especially if the person has come with a genuine intention to help. But then if you feel that the person is making some sort of advances and you're not comfortable, be assertive enough. Tell the person, I'm not, okay with this. And that if you think you're also okay with it, ask for a definition. And that will help.
Like put a proper tag on what the thing is. We're quite pressed for time. So I will just move on. So we're still on the, as students, it is no news that we get exhausted, we get burnout, we get extremely tired. Sometimes your mental health deteriorates, and sometimes you want to talk to somebody. Now we're looking at persons with disability, they're students, right? And academics has gotten tough. They're exhausted, they want to talk to someone. And then in that emotionally vulnerable state of this helper or this helper of this tends to emotionally coerce them. Do you think to some extent it will fall under sexual harassment? But this is somebody who is emotionally vulnerable. Their emotions aren't really regular at this time. Like it's all over the place. And this is the time you're like, in your bid to kind of help them. I don't know. At that instance, it's like their emotions, they don't know what is actually ongoing with them. Like how it happens to every other regular student, right? But now in this case, you are their helper. They are with you every other time. Then to some extent, we say that they would think they are developing feelings for you, but it's just they getting attached to you because of that state they're in. When somebody then acts on the act of the person with disability, would they be taking advantage of them? Would they be making use of their emotional vulnerability at that instance?
To sort of, engage in some sort of advances?
Yes, so ideally, we're looking at it in the instance where she's exhausted from school, and every time we have after class studies, maybe she missed something, and I'm trying to I'm exhausted, and I don't want to study the law again, and I don't understand what is going on. Maybe I shouldn't even have studied law. I don't understand why everything.
I didn't even see the slides.
Because what is the whole essence? I come to class, and then they're not even including me. Am I not a student too? And in that instance, she's talking to you, you're the first person that comes to her mind because you're always with her, right? So in her mind, your availability, because at that time her emotions are not really regulated. It happens when your mental health is deteriorating, you don't really know your left and your right properly, so-called. Then with that, now begins to think that, or maybe I think he's in love with me, he's always available when I speak to him, or I am in love with him, right? And then you think, you're looking at that, you're looking at this scenario, you're looking at how Nai is acting, right? And you see that like, Nai is moving like she likes you. We are talking about being clear, and she tells you, I think I like you, you've always been there for me.
Okay.
But ideally, she's acting in this way because there's something wrong.
Okay.
If you then tend to act on that act she has also shown you, are you taking advantage of her?
Well,
Because you do not have knowledge.
yes,
Is that what you're about?
we have to be clear on this. Persons with disability are humans.
Yes.
They are allowed to develop feelings for other people, no matter how it comes about. I mean, as humans in our daily lives, we tend to find our lovers in classrooms. I mean, people tend to fall in love where they have other people helping them. It sort of engenders some sort of emotional reactions, and you begin to fall in love and all that. They are allowed to do the same.
Yeah.
I don't think that in this area, persons with disability, should be treated any different from any other human being. If by your exhaustion or you needing help, you sort of, establish a relationship with somebody, I think it's quite okay. But the problem is the intention of the person as to whether or not the person is taking advantage of you is what is important. Now, after you've told the person you are interested in the person, you being a person with disability, what then follows? Will the person also reciprocate and respect you and not take advantage of you? If the person will do, then that becomes a problem. Okay, so naturally, people are attracted to people who are stronger than themselves. What you can't do for yourself, if somebody is able to do for you, it naturally will bring about some sort of attraction. Okay, so if you are living with disability and somebody else is able to help you, it's very likely you will develop some sort of attraction. Okay, so the other person must also learn that it can lead to some sort of undue influence because you stand at a higher position, as we saw in the case of Lofman and what do you call it?
You really are a law student here right now. Okay.
All right. So you realize that a man depended on his driver who, because of his epileptic condition for a very long time, and at a point in time ended up giving his properties and all that.
Sure.
This appears to be a genuine transaction. But at all times, legal minds will try to look at whether or not the other person merits it and whether or not the other person had a good intention. So I feel if the person has a good intention, it's not a problem.
It's not.
We should not stigmatize persons with disability as though they cannot fall in love and act for love. They can. But the other people should be careful not to take advantage of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we've gotten to the end of our first episode. So if there's one message you want to give to the students' body, we want people to understand that when you think about sexual harassment, think about every single person. Think about the male, the female, the person with disability, the child, everybody. What's one message you want to give to the students? So I start from Gideon. Yeah, so I think this should be your camera. This should be your camera.
Okay.
Then we kickstart.
Every human being can be a victim of some of these things. And most importantly, people living with disability, because at all times they will need help, we are likely to take advantage of them. Now, this conversation is not, meant to say that here at the University of Ghana, people are not properly protected. Trust me, I know people with disability are properly protected. However, they are more likely, even in the face of the protection they have, to still, suffer or go through some of this harassment and all that. So we should really pay attention and get ourselves educated, know what sexual harassment is, so that the person who is abusing himself will not say that he's not aware he's abusing somebody or harassing somebody. And when we do that, I think we will have a very conducive environment when it comes to sexual harassment. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll move to now, then we'll take Melish. Then we're done.
Kudos to the team. Yes, I'm so excited for that episode. Yes, now my message to the students' body, especially students with disability, we have various resources available, especially at the University of Ghana. We have SEGENSA, that's the Center for Gender Studies and Advocacy. We have the University of Ghana Careers and Counseling Department. We have the Anti-Sexual Harassment Committee. They are all available for you. SEGENSA has anonymous means by which you can report, whether via WhatsApp or email. You can reach out to them. I'm sure you can always reach out to the staff members at Center for Disability Studies and Advocacy. They'll be glad to assist you. And what the last message I want to leave with you all is that as students with disability, not everybody is, let me say, vulnerable or dependent on others, right? But for those of us who rely on others, what we want to tell you is that please, in all things, know how to draw boundaries, know how to be assertive, because it's not always going to be the clear ones you see or you know, touching you, trying to grab you or do something. It can be very, very subtle ways, okay? It can just be by some comments on your body, some comments about a fantasy they've had about you. It can just be in any shape or form. And for the gentlemen, you are not left out. So bear in mind that you must also be very vigilant for yourselves, even though the school is doing what they can for you. As a person, be vigilant, and then when you can, have open and clear and honest conversations, okay? And then to all be handled for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Move to Melish. Very short.
Great. Yeah, I think they've actually said everything. So let me just do some disability advocacy. So we've been talking about persons with disability, students with disability. So like I said earlier, students first before the disability.
True.
Persons first before the disability. And if you look at the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, it defines impairment just as a loss of a function. So when I lose the function of my eye to see, then I have an impairment. Then when there are barriers which prevents me from performing like any other person or taking part in daily activities without support, then because of the barriers, you say, I have a disability because I am not able to perform what I am expected to do because I cannot see. And so, yes, that is just to do some education. Also to congratulate my dear sister Najele on her election as the first ever person with disability to become LSU president. Kudos to the University of Ghana. Kudos to LSU. Kudos. Yes. First female, the years and two of our time. And so, yes, congratulations, Najele.
So I'm second.
Oh, she's second then?
Yes.
Okay. But first visually impaired?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So congrats to you. And yes, kudos to the team. They've done a good job. Yes. All right.
Thank you so much to my guests. So today's conversation reminds us that we should never want to help somebody at the cost of their own dignity. And that true inclusion is not simply about making education accessible. It's about ensuring that these persons are safe from exploitation, coercion, and any other thing that will be to their detriment. Sometimes exploitation doesn't begin with force. Sometimes it begins with what appears to be kindness. That is why not be every help be help. This was the first episode of our Human Rights Podcast series. And stay tuned because we have much more exciting ones coming up. We're moving on to sexual harassment with respect to the male students. And I know you do not want to miss that. I have been your host, Eugenia Karen Amedeka, and I'll see you in the next one.